All right, for example number 4, we have 12z to the 5th plus 36z squared. So again, we need to find our greatest common factor. So pause your video and try and find your greatest common factor before I tell you what it is. Okay, so for your greatest common factor, you should have gotten 12z squared. So if we look between 12 and 36, 12 goes into both of those, right? 12 times 1 and then 12 times 3. So that's why we get 12 as our greatest common factor. Then our z's, we have z to the 5th and z squared. So they both have two z's that we can pull out, so that's why we pick z squared. Now we just need to figure out what's left. So again, we're going to divide our greatest common factor out of our expression. So if we do 12z squared, 12z to the 5th divided by 12z squared, what will we get? Well, 12 divided by 12 is 1, and then z to the 5th divided by z squared. Again, remember our exponent rules, we just need to subtract. So that's going to be 12z cubed. 5 minus 2 is 3. And the next part, 36 divided by 12, well, that's going to be 3. And then z squared divided by z squared, that's going to cancel out to be 1. So we just get z cubed plus 3. And that's our factored form of example number 4. And again, if you were to multiply this back out, you would get what you started with. Okay, we're going to skip example 5 for a second and come back to it. So example number 6, we have 4x plus x squared. So what is our greatest common factor between 4x and x squared? Well, that would just be x, right? They both have an x in common. 4 and 1 don't have anything in common besides 1, and we don't need to pull out a 1 because nothing would change. So if our greatest common factor is x, what's left? Well, we're going to divide the x out. 4x divided by x, your x's cancel to be 1, so you just get 4. And then x squared divided by x, again, we're subtracting, so we do 2 minus 1 gives us x. So our factored form for example 6 is x times 4 plus x. For example number 7, if we look at our numbers, they don't have anything in common, right? 7, 12, and negative 19. 7 and 19 are prime numbers, so they don't have any factors besides 1 and itself. So since the numbers don't have anything in common, we need to look at the variables, but the variables also don't have anything in common, right? We have x to the 5th, y squared, and d cubed. So since our greatest common factor here, the only thing that they all have in common is 1, that means that this is prime. We cannot factor it. So if you can't pull anything out, they don't have anything in common, then it's prime. Okay, example number 8, we have y squared minus 2y. Now our greatest common factor is y, right? They each have at least one y. If we divide that out, we're going to get y minus 2. So that's your factored form for number 8. Okay, let's look at example number 5 really quick. So you won't have any this hard on the assignment, but we'll just do this example so you can see it. So the first thing to notice is our leading coefficient is negative. So since the first term is negative, our GCF is going to have a negative in it. If your first term is negative, you want to pull out a negative. Now, if we look, our numbers don't have anything in common, right? We have -1, 8, and -2. Those don't have anything in common besides 1. So now we need to look at the variables. We have a to the 6th, a cubed, and a squared. So they all have at least 2 a's. And then if we look at our b's, b to the 4th, b to the 7th, b to the 5th, they all have at least 4 b's. So we're going to have b to the 4th. So our GCF is negative a squared b to the fourth. And then we just need to figure out what's left. So again, we're going to divide out our GCF. So negative 1 divided by negative 1 is going to cancel out to be 1. A to the 6th divided by a squared, that's a to the 4th, because we subtract our exponents. B to the 4th divided by b to the 4th cancels out to be 1. Okay, and then we have 8a cubed b to the 7th divided by our GCF. 8 divided by negative 1 is going to give us negative 8. A cubed divided by a squared is going to give us a. B to the 7th divided by b to the 4th, b cubed. And then lastly, we have to divide our last term. So negative 2 divided by negative 1 is going to be plus 2. A squared over a squared, those are going to cancel out to be 1. B to the 5th divided by b to the 4th is b. So again, this is probably the hardest one you'll ever see. You won't have any this hard on the homework or the assignment for this one. So once you finish with these notes, you're going to go to Canvas and do the 2.3 GCF factoring activity. It's not on Big Ideas, it's on Canvas. Show your work on the back of your notes page because you do need to turn in your notes and your work for 2.3.